Two questions. So I'm a Master of Integrated Design. Thank you very much. One question might be, what exactly does that mean? And secondly, how does that tie in with this visioning of a future for Canberra? So I'll answer those by telling a bit of our story, but the common thread, I think, is the title of this talk, which is collaboration. That's central to our story as a business. Jigsaw Housing is a partnership between three people and three different disciplines. Myself, a builder, an architect, Andrew, and Jenny, who's got a science background and specialises in energy efficiency. And our story started some years ago when I purchased the very, very smallest block that was available out in the north of Canberra, in Gungahlin of all places. And it was 330 square metres, and I wanted to build a house that challenged this notion that affordability and energy efficiency are mutually exclusive. I wanted to build a house that was modestly sized. We've currently got the largest average new houses in the world. Do we really need them to be so big? So modestly sized, very efficient and functional floor plans, which counteracts the need for such a big house. And light-filled places, just places that are a joy to live in, full of light. So after a handful of designs and relationships that were cut short with architects that didn't quite work out, I finally got a concept from an architect called Andrew Very, which addressed everything I wanted. It was just what I wanted. It was that light bulb moment. And I discovered with Andrew a very common values around passion for energy efficiency and doing it on an affordable scale. So I engaged him on a professional basis at that point to be the architect, and we started designing and building this house. Along that journey, we had to get in an energy rater to give you your stamp for yes, you've passed the 6-star rating. And that's where we came across Jenny, who does the energy ratings. And what we did at the concept stage was to use her skills to look at the design and say, hey, if you make this window on the southern side a bit smaller, it's only going to be losing heat. Maximise that one to the north. Maybe change that eave width there. So you're maximising that northern winter sunshine. We managed to take it from maybe a 7-star up to an 8-star house. And we built the home, and then at the end of the process, importantly, we got her back again then to test the house, to depressurise it, to see how many air leaks there were in the house. It's something we're not even doing in this country at all, whereas that's quite common in certain countries in the Northern Hemisphere. So we designed something, and importantly also we built it. So it wasn't just what's your energy rating on paper, we knew that's what it was in fact, and we'd learnt a whole lot in the process. So it was that process of working together that we got a sense of the benefits of working together as a team. And we finished just in time for Sustainable House Open Day in 2010, and opened the doors, and we were flooded with people coming through the doors and had praise heaped on us, which gave us the courage to say, okay, one for all for one, we'll mesh our three different businesses and we'll become one. And from that point, as Marianne suggested, we won a Sustainable Architecture Award and a couple of Building Commendation Awards. I was a bit put out, actually, John. We didn't win the top gong, but in my mind it was because it wasn't the McMansion. It was too small. The industry will catch up at one point and realise the beauty of it's not size that counts. Sorry, I've gone off track. I'm losing track here now. But we found that over those last 3 years, our growth has been doubling year on year. So there's no doubt that clients recognise the value that they're getting from this integrated design process. So that should give you a bit of an idea about integrated design. But visioning the city, I think Barbara spelt out some fantastic ideas up there, and I don't have anything new to add to that. I'd say just summarise it that that urban densification I see is so critical, and that's obviously what's happening. We're seeing that around Civic and the like. But it's how it's being done. Every time I see a new apartment block go up, I'm looking at it, and I know from a builder's point of view that, yes, we're building in these nice blocks, and that works well from the builder's point of view. We know what sort of margins we're going to get. We're going to reduce our risks and our costs. But who's really dictating it? And aren't there a whole lot more options within that space? How can we that interaction between people? I think that's the big new area as we're increasing the urban densification, exploring how we're interacting with each other and how our apartments can reflect that change, those shifts there. And to give you an idea of how I can see some of these changes coming about, that implementation from those ideas, I'd give you an example of a workshop we ran a couple of years ago. We wanted to push the envelope a bit further and say, okay, how can we build an 8-star energy rated house for $200,000? And we went to we got on the radio and announced that we had this challenge. It's a bit of a stretch target, but we're inviting the public to provide us a brief. And to our surprise, we packed out this hall and we asked people questions. What did they want in a house? And it wasn't just the process of asking the question. I should just mention that we got a whole lot of mums and dads in there and older couples and young singles, the whole lot. But importantly, we didn't get any industry in there. And the reason for that was that we feel that the real estate and the construction industry are dictating the forms of our houses to some degree. You only have to look at the newspaper on a Saturday and read the ads, and 200 square metres of house, 3 bedrooms, 2 en-suites, two carports. Yeah. But what's that really telling us about the house? Is it telling us how well it functions, how light-filled it is, what a pleasure it is to live in? Do we really need 200 square metres? Or if it's very well functioning, is 150 actually perfectly fine? So we just went to the mums and dads. We wanted to peel it all back and get to the core of it. And it wasn't just the questions, it was the nature of the questions that were really powerful. We asked the attendees what some of their fondest memories are of some of the homes that they've lived in, or what were some of the favourite features. And you can just think about that a bit. I'm sure there's certain things popping into your minds about houses that you've lived in. For me, it was growing up in what was basically an uninsulated fibro shack out near Bungendore, but in the wintertime, lying on the carpet near the sliding doors and the sun coming in, and dreaming away my childhood. And it was asking those sort of questions, getting that attachment to the heart and to the emotions, because essentially that's so much of what a house is to us. And we got people to say, what's the must-haves, what's the nice-to-haves, and what's the I can do without. And from that, we walked away with 4 core elements, and that was light, warmth, connection to outdoors, and social spaces. So we took that brief and made the commitment to the workshop that we'd come back to them in 3 months with a proposed design. So Andy, Jenny and I went back to do what we do every day, which is butting heads and fighting and tussling over different details and designs. I can assure you, over the 3 years that I've been in partnership with those two, there's many occasions when I've realised, well, there's not many builders that go into partnership with architects. So many arguments like, well, look at the cost and the expense of this. Why are we doing it this way? Just for those 2 lines to marry up? Well, what are we doing? But it's in that process of tension, creative tension, it spills over into other sort of tensions at other times, that's where you get the results from that diversity of those different parties. And Andy came up with a fantastic design where he broke up a house into modules. So we've got a bedrooms module and a dining, kitchen, living module and a utilities module. And you can put these modules together in different ways so that regardless of the block size and shape, we can always maximise that northern orientation. So breaking that down into a system where we can control costs and the design costs, and giving those fantastically creative designers a bit of some limitations. Creativeness loves limitations, I hear. and presented that back. Now, we didn't quite hit the $200,000 mark. It jumped up 25% to 250 grand, but that's what happens when you get an architect involved. But that's gone on to now become the main thrust of our next phase of business growth. It's been very, very positive. And I think when I analyse what we got out of that, well, great, we got a very saleable product. But it was a unique solution to several problems. One problem I find in housing in Canberra is that clients are unsatisfied with the inflexibility of what they're getting. Secondly, difficulties from government to regulate their objectives. And thirdly, from a builder's point of view, that managing that very difficult tension between the client's wishes, all the regulations, and thirdly, just the cost and business pressures that you deal with. And I think the key to that, when I put this in the perspective of what I think the next big target is, which is how we build these apartment blocks in town, like that, you had the drawing up there, Barbara, of down Flemington Road, and we know there's going to be a lot of new buildings there, and what can we imagine for that? And it's the questions that we're posing, and it's the power in the question, because often we don't even know what we want. When you think of a smartphone, was that someone saying, I want such and such? It was more a matter of we'd landed in our hands and we realised, wow, this is amazing. And I think it's the power of asking the right questions and eliciting the right answers, taking those answers, putting it into a pot where you've got a multidisciplinary team that's working together. And that's where I think you start to get a bit of the magic and the gold. And that's what we want. We want a city that we look at and we feel it's reflecting back to us the pride we personally have. And I think that's what's lacking at the moment, but I see we have the potential, and that's my little piece on how I think we can get there.